Today, we're going to be discussing the worst drinks that I think you should avoid if you're trying to optimize for longevity. Drink number one are meal replacement drinks. Now, there are a whole bunch of these on the market. Huel is one of them, Soylent, Y Food, that we can try and pop up on the screen here. It actually says this is food, which is completely antithetical to what is in the product. It is false advertising. It is not food. These are prepared formulas that come in ready to drink or powdered form, and they're marketed as nutritionally complete meals on the go, and they can provide the equivalent of a full meal's worth of nutrients in a single product. Now, the issues that I have with this, I've got a lot of issues with these, to be honest, but the main issue I have with this is that it is absolutely chock full of additives and unnecessary ingredients that would not be part of a regular meal made with whole foods. This includes vegetable oils, emulsifiers, thickeners, sweeteners, and flavoring as well to make this palatable. And whilst there isn't definitive research showing links between higher intake of additives like emulsifiers and the deleterious effects on gut microbiota and gut inflammation, it's certainly something that I avoid from a longevity standpoint. Another big issue I have with these is that they contain tons of sugars and or sweeteners. Now, some products use sugar, others keep the sugar out and have the label low sugar or sugar-free by replacing it with artificial or natural sweeteners. Sugar itself is not great for longevity, particularly in drink form where it mainlines straight into your bloodstream and straight to your liver, where it can cause inflammation and fatty liver as well. It is bad for inflammation, which is not good for longevity. It is not good for your gut health, which you need for longevity, as that is where you have the majority of your immune cells. We don't know the long-term effects of sweeteners like aspartame and other natural or artificial synthetic sweeteners on health. However, I would not recommend having these every single day either, because I'm a pragmatist and I think pragmatically you don't want to have synthetics in your diet without the long-term evidence to declare their safety either. Another thing, as you can see on the back of these products, are isolated nutrients. Now, it looks kind of good because you're getting all these nutrients. There's a long list of vitamins and minerals, and it looks appealing, but they're usually synthetic. So you miss out on the variety and the combination of nutrients in whole foods. Your food is not made up of 24, 23 different ingredients. It is made up of thousands of different compounds, hundreds of different subtypes of fiber, multiple different products that are uniquely interlinked to create a beautiful food matrix that nature has provided in its most perfect form to provide for longevity, to provide for your health. This is not something that you can mimic by just crumbling up a multivitamin and putting it into a milk or non-milk based drink. It is completely antithetical to the idea of longevity. So it can't mimic the food matrix effect and that structure of nutrients in whole food, which is how we are designed as human beings to consume food as well. The other thing, on riffing on the sort of concept of the food matrix, is that this is liquid food. So it is less satisfying and filling. Chewing and swallowing food helps us feel full. So you might drink a milkshake and it might make you feel satiated in the short term, but you're going to feel hungry again soon after and end up eating more. And that's also something that we see with synthetic sweeteners as well. Whilst it gives you that sort of sweet hit at the start, it doesn't satisfy the craving overall. So you end up craving more sugary, sweet treats, and it can lead you to fall off the wagon and end up eating some other snacks and things just to get the hit that you're actually missing out on. You're also missing out on the food variety as well. So we are more likely to meet our true nutritional needs by enjoying a wide variety of different foods every single day, which also helps shape a healthy gut microbiota. So if you think about longevity really rests on the health of your gut microbes. As you age, we generally lose diversity with our gut microbiota. There is nothing in this but a sprinkling of some chicory and some other vegetable fibers that will support a healthy gut microbiota as you age. This is not going to help you. It's going to replace what you could potentially find in a very simple meal, actually. So the cost, the trade-off, the opportunity cost is just not worth it. And also, the cost does add up. So depending on how many you drink each day, the cost of these can actually be significant. It's marketed as cheap, but over the long term, it is definitely not equivocal. You can get similar amounts of protein, vitamins, and minerals at a far lower cost from whole foods in themselves as well. The other scary thing, as we're talking about longevity, is we don't actually know the long-term effects of these kind of products in a regular diet. Even if you were to have one of these replacing one of your 21 meals a week, 21 or so a week, it's not got any long-term evidence for anything other than weight loss. The long-term health outcomes or long-term health detrimental issues with these kind of products has just not been borne out. And so I personally wouldn't recommend anyone being part of that research, the experiment. And this product, as I'm just looking here, is £3.75, which sounds pretty cheap, but it will not be satiating, and it does not compare to a full meal whatsoever. Now, I want to be respectful of the reasons as to why people might choose to drink one of these drinks. Convenience, obviously. If you're on the go, you're in a rush, you're traveling, you don't have time to make a home cooked meal from scratch, they might be better than a shop bought sandwich or a fast food takeaway. But I can't honestly give you any evidence to suggest that that might be the case. My personal opinion is that you'd probably be better off fasting, i.e. leaving a gap between traveling and eating a proper home-cooked meal, or at least a meal that you can eat outside of your home that is far more nutritious than one of these, or what these are alluding to being like. In specific circumstances, so if you're struggling with loss of appetite, if you have a medical condition, if you are undergoing a treatment where you are nauseous and you have difficulty consuming enough calories, or you have difficulty chewing, you can't get adequate nutrition, that is the only time where I feel that this has a medically established reason as to why it could be beneficial. But that's not what these products are being marketed to people as. Another thing that you're probably going to see a lot more of, particularly as the rise of type 2 diabetes increases in many developed nations and even developing nations as well, is to lose weight. And so the way many people use these products is to replace a meal, to reduce the calories, to improve portion control. There is some evidence published in obesity reviews that when a meal replacement product is used as part of a diet, there is greater weight loss at 1 year compared to with diets that do not incorporate them. But what we do see for longer periods of time is that there is a huge drop-off. So people end up eating more, putting more weight on because they haven't established a healthy relationship with food. So outside of those medical contexts, I wouldn't say that there is any benefit of these. If you're going to be having this in addition to a meal to gain weight, to build muscle, people use these as extra meals when bulking. There might be a benefit of those, but that's the minority of people, I would say. And there's definitely a healthier way of doing that, which I'll give you a recipe in a second as well. So my thoughts for specific occasions rather than the daily thing, potentially, a healthy diet is the first thing you want for longevity. This is antithetical to longevity. Please read the label. And when you do read the label, you should be horrified, as I am, when you read all the different ingredients. There's just so many here. Guar gum, sunflower, lecithin, emulsifiers, sucralose, just loads of things that are going to be detrimental to your gut, loads of things that are not going to be good for longevity as well. So avoid these if you want to live a long, healthy life. If you do want a meal replacement shake, let me give you one right now. Cacao powder, so raw cacao powder into a glass. Add a little bit of natural sweetener, so a bit of maple syrup, bit of honey. Add a unflavored protein powder or collagen powder that has one ingredient, does not need to be flavored. Add a little bit of hemp seeds, so a couple of tablespoons of hemp seeds, some nut butter made from 100% nuts. You can use almond butter, you can use a sunflower seed butter as well if you're allergic to nuts. Blend all that stuff together and then adjust it according to your tastes. That is a complete meal just there. You have proteins, you have fats, you have more calories. It is far more nutritious than this. And if you want the multivitamins, just get a multivitamin that you can buy for less than 20 or 30p per pill and then just sprinkle it in. This is exactly what these guys are doing when it comes to these products here. So please just be aware of these. These are not good for longevity as well. And if you wanted added meals, hard-boiled eggs, overnight oats, a yogurt bowl, fruit and nuts, vegetables with hummus on the go. There are so many alternatives. Please go for those instead. Just a quick one. If you're enjoying this kind of content, you will love our free newsletter called Seasonal Sundays. It goes into depth on a seasonal ingredient every Sunday, and we talk about the nutritional medicine benefits, the research, and the culinary uses of an ingredient every Sunday with recipes included. You can get access to the free newsletter in the link just down below. The second drink that I think you should avoid if you're trying to optimize for longevity: berry drinks. These ready to go smoothies, ready to go sort of juices. These are not great. A lot of them have added sugars to them. A lot of them have, again, artificial sweeteners as well, acidity regulators, preservatives, because they lose a lot of their color. So that's why you need to fix it using things like citric acid. And they potentially lose a lot of polyphenols themselves as well from the berries because of storage, because of the fact that they're blended, they're oxidized, and then they're just sort of kept in shelf-stable conditions or fridge-stable conditions for a long period of time. These are not great from a longevity point of view because, in short, you do not want to drink your sugar. So even if they didn't add any extra sugar to this, like this particular company here, I'll tell you what it does have: pure natural fruit sugar. So this is apple juice where the fiber is taken out of the apple and you're left with just the fructose. You have grape juice. Again, it's just the same thing, just sugar. Raspberry juice. Again, just sugar. Goji berry juice, passion fruit juice. Everything is juiced. This is 90% juice. So this is going to be a ton of sugar. And if I can find the amount of sugar in this, I will let you know. So yeah, per serving, this is going to be around half of your total daily amount of sugar, which is bad enough to start off with. But what makes it worse is when you drink sugar, it's even worse than just having table sugar. So researchers have been realizing just how crucial it is to pay attention to the texture and structure of foods, i.e. the food matrix, because that actually plays a huge role in how much energy we intake and how our bodies respond to what we eat. So liquid sugars, even in the form of natural sugars like these, like fruits, are not the same as solid forms. And this is because you tend to consume them faster. So I can neck this in literally 15 seconds if I wanted to. You're probably going to spend less than a couple of minutes drinking this. Typically eating the same food as liquid versus a semi-solid or a solid is going to be increased. So you're increasing the speed by a magnitude of 50% or so. This can overwhelm your insulin response, so your body's natural insulin response. And there's also a modifier risk factor for obesity as well. So this is going to spike my insulin. It's going to spike my blood sugar levels. Again, not good for longevity. And the other thing, very similar to the meal replacements, is that they make you feel less full. So the liquid will produce a weaker satiety response than the same caloric load consumed as a solid, because they're consumed really quickly and they don't engage our satiety sensors as much as well. What you tend to do is consume a larger amount of sugar than you actually would as well. So if I had to eat the equivalent amount of apple or grapes or raspberry or goji berries or whatever, we're talking like a couple of handfuls. It will take me probably around 15, 20 minutes to consume that. During that time, my body is being signaled by my stomach and my digestive system that, yo, you're eating, you've got fiber here, we're getting some nutrients, you're going to stop eating at some point. Whereas you do not get the same signal in the same amount of time when you drink your sugar as well. So you tend to drink a large amount that can actually quench your satiety. And the other thing to realize is that if you imagine the whole food versus the liquid food, your body responds completely differently to it. So nutrient matched foods cause different metabolic responses depending on the form or the integrity of that food matrix. So this is what you don't see on the nutrition label. And epidemiological studies show that liquid sugars carry a greater risk for the development of metabolic syndrome compared with solid food. Now, if I bring up this picture for you folks to see, you can see the nutrient composition and the food form, the texture, the actual matrix. This all affects your digestion, nutrient bioavailability, and ultimately how much you're going to consume and how it affects your liver as well. One thing that you won't be able to tell is when you consume such a sugar-laden drink from natural sugars and the juices, it goes into your bloodstream straight to your liver as well, and that overloads something called the hexokinase pathway, and that encourages your liver to do something with all this extra sugar, produce fat. And this is what can lead to fatty liver, also known as NAFLD or non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So sugar-sweetened beverages like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, all those sugar-sweetened pop drinks that we know are bad for us are probably these are no better than those ones as well. So really be aware of those. Not good for longevity, very high in sugars. Something you want to avoid if you want to live a long, healthy life free of metabolic disease, which is one of the biggest reasons as to why we're not living as long and as healthy lives. The third drink that I want you to avoid for longevity are vitamin waters. So look, the benefits of that, this is mainly hydration. It is mainly sugar-free, so they don't really have too many natural sugars, added sugars, or artificial sweeteners in them. Bar this one, actually, this does actually have some artificial sweeteners. The main issue is I just think they're a complete waste of money. They're not giving you any bioavailable nutrients. There are no proven nutrient absorption or health benefits of these products. And there are just so many of them out there, like vitamin water, Vita this, and this is called Vita Vital, and all this kind of stuff. So the package marketing highlights the nutritional attributes, immune support, antioxidant properties. These are not supported by any scientific evidence. So they give you the impression that you're making a healthier choice, potentially for your longevity, than you actually are. And I have a big issue with that. The pros, like I've said, they're hydrating, they're better than a soda, but the vitamins that they're adding are largely going to be synthetic. I don't think these are going to have any attributable benefits to longevity. And this one in particular does have flavor enhancers, citric acid, and a couple of other preservatives, plant-based sweetener, some other sort of synthetics in this. There's quite a few ingredients for what is meant to be quite a simple product. So these could actually be detrimental to your gut. If something is detrimental to your gut and your gut microbes, that's not good for longevity. You want to support those gut microbes with as much fiber and diversity as possible. Hydration is key for those. And if you were attracted to the idea of having some plant vitamins, some plant polyphenols, I get it. I like that as well. So instead of spending money, this is £2. So this is about $3, $3 to $4 in US currency. Get yourself a nice glass of still water. It could be carbonated if you like that kind of thing. And then get yourself some frozen berries. These are just frozen berries. I've got some cherries here, but you can use raspberries or whatever you like. Pop those in. It gives you a lovely flavored water that is completely cheap, completely in line with vitamins, extra vitamins. These have actually got true flavonols because they are frozen at source. They preserve a lot of the nutrients that are likely going to be lost in a product like this, and it gives a little bit of flavor, makes it a little bit more interesting. Cherry, very nice. These are great for kids if you want to give them a little bit more of a boost. Berries, as we know, are proven to have those cognitive benefits, can make your brain younger by up to 12% according to some epidemiological studies. If you're having one of those a handful a day, this isn't going to give you a handful, but it's going to give you some of those anthocyanins, those polyphenols that we know are going to be good for your brain. That's a potentially longevity enhancing drink. This is most certainly not. So as a pragmatist, I think if there's anything that I can try and persuade you to do, it's just to think simply and do the simple things and avoid unnecessary complications when it comes to adding more years to your life. If you didn't like the idea of berries, you could use infused water with other things like orange, ginger, mint, rosemary. We've done a whole other video on healing drinks and other drinks that aren't coffee to aid in longevity, to aid in your health. Anti-inflammatory drinks like hibiscus, green tea, even coconut water with no added sugar is probably going to be better than something like this as well. So there you have it. You have 3 drinks that I would avoid for longevity: meal replacement drinks, juices, smoothies, vitamin waters, no benefit of those. Try and check out the other drinks that I've created using nutrient-rich ingredients that you can find of me in the kitchen. And if you think there's any one of these that I've missed of drinks that I should be avoiding for longevity, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you here next time.